hard foul by Drabek into the suits. It makes it 2-2.
Yeah, it's always scary. And I was reading today that Barry Bonds in Chicago hit a line drive into the seats. A young boy was injured in the hospital. Hopefully everything is okay. But it's a tough situation. You have no control when you're the hitter. You just hope it finds a seat.
And it really points up the importance of fans watching the hitter, watching the ball when they're in those seats at the ballpark. I've seen a couple of people seriously injured over the years because they weren't watching and they just got hit right in the face. You can get behind the screen there, you're usually okay. But the screen doesn't go very far in most ballparks. Grounded off foul. Still 3-2 to Drabek.
Hey, you talked about Drabek being a tough out, and you can see right here he's battled, roughened, fouled some pitches off.
And Drabek works out a walk. So that was an excellent at bat. As he fouled off some tough pitches, Ruffin booed for walking the pitcher, but Drabek earned that one.
And pitching coach Darrell Knowles quickly on the telephone to the bullpen after seeing Ruffin, who walked a pair in the first inning. They both came in to score. Now he walks the pitcher, and they get Don Carmen up.
Well, you can see that Bruce Ruffin is not alone on the Phillies staff in walking hitters. Reedus with a hard shot off Ruffin's glove. Drabek appropriately makes Tom Hurd tag him out to allow Reedus to get the first base with one out.
Well, the smart thing done by Drabek too. Talk about his hitting ability. A good base runner right there, because once Ruffin gets a piece of this shot hit by Reedus, slows it up. Coming over to make the play, Tommy Hurd, if he tags Drabek quickly, has a chance maybe to get a double play, but Drabek pulled up, made Hurd come and get him, and then they only get the one out. Some pitchers don't know to do that.
Pitchers not only struggle with the bat, they struggle on the base paths sometimes. Jay Bell flied to center his first at bat, and he takes ball one. Pirates leading 3-0. Have Reedus at first with one out here in the second. Drabek will get a break. Sharply hit up the middle. Reedus will stop at second. And Bell's first hit gives the Pirates runners at first and second with one out.
And so far it's been very obvious that Bruce Ruffin does not have the location that he needs. Either he's walked the Pirates or they've hit the ball sharply. Base hits have been hit hard.
4 hits and 3 walks in an inning and a third. Not to mention the 3 earned runs. And Andy Van Slyke walked and scored in the first inning. Strike call.
Van Slyke always wanted to come up with a great line. Do you hear what he said the other day about his slump? He said he hadn't forgotten how to hit. He just had amnesia.
That's right. Temporary amnesia. He's a funny guy. Andrew. Slick, they call him, because of his fielding prowess. Base hit right field. The onslaught continues. Here comes Reedus, and the throw not in time. 4-0 Pittsburgh. Few other parks in baseball can have a cascade of boos with any more disdain or volume than Philadelphia.
Van Slyke now 6 hits in his last 10 at bats against left-handers, staying right on Ruffin. And he smokes that ball hard, but it allowed Reedus, with his good speed, he was able to come in and score. Some runners on AstroTurf, when the balls hit that sharply, aren't able to score from second base, but Reedus got a good jump.
Nick Leyva has relieved Bruce Ruffin. So apparently Don Carmen will come into the game with a 4-0 Pittsburgh lead.
And we have some fireworks going on at Fenway tonight after the Red Sox scored 7 in the bottom of the first. Cecil Fielder in the top half of the second inning, the only Japanese import popular in Detroit, cracked his 34th home run of the season, tying Jose Canseco. We'll see Jose later tonight.
What Jose said.
Right here it's 4-0 Pittsburgh as we go to the second inning. Well, we're in the second inning. And barely into the second inning, Pittsburgh scores their 4th run, and that chases Bruce Ruffin and brings Don Carmen into the game.
Seeing Fielder hit that home run must have got upset what he read in the newspapers about Jose Canseco, saying that once he passed Fielder, that was it. He'd never catch him.
Jose's mouth is on an equal par with his ability. They're both large.
Well, you saw the numbers and the ability of Don Carmen, who comes in early. Probably hadn't planned on getting in this game this early. He's had some good numbers this year.
Undefeated at 4-0, and Jeff King, the first hitter he faces, takes a strike. King with a big blow in the first inning, a 2-run triple. Give him 25 RBIs on the year. Runners at first and third, and 1 out in the second inning. Pirates have added a run. Did King hold up? Nope. The strike. Charlie Williams, the first base umpire. 1-2.
That's the pitch that Carmen likes to use, that slider down and in. And if he is effective, we saw Bruce Ruffin not being effective with his sinker ball, his fastball. He got a lot of them up. He didn't have control. But Carmen, if he can get his slider, gets it down and in, then he'll be effective.
Opponents have only hit 175 against Carmen this year. He bounces that one up there, and a good play by Dalton to keep it in front of him, with runners at first and third. 2-2.
Well, it was nice seeing during the parade of 1980s Phillies one who perfected that nasty down and in slider. Number 32, Steve Carlton. More often than not, his was in the strike zone or a little bit out and swung at and missed.
Eat up those right-handed hitters. Bounced up there and over Dalton. Here comes the runner from third, Jay Bell, to score, and Van Slyke, who was running on the pitch, goes all the way to third. It's 5-0 Pirates. Van Slyke credited with a stolen base and goes to third on the wild pitch.
You have to give credit for Darren Dalton calling the pitch again after seeing the way Carmen threw it prior to that. But he snapped that one off even sharper than the one before. See Van Slyke peeking. Once he took that peek as he was running on the pitch, he knew that he'd be able to cruise over to third base. If you don't take a look, then you have to try to pick up the third base coach.
So good base running by Van Slyke, and he's at third with 1 out. And King is out of there on strikes.
Jeff King saying to himself, how do you figure? Left-hander just bounces 2 sliders to the plate, 1 a wild pitch. And then he's called out on strikes.
So 2 out. And with a runner at third, it could be a big out to prevent further damage. Barry Bonds, the hitter, he reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the first inning. Strike 1. Bonds thought it was inside. Bonds, who leads the National League in slugging percentage. Strike 2.
Yeah, we have a lot of leaders here at the ballpark tonight. Bonds number 2 and on base percentage. Lenny Dykstra number 1. Bobby Bonilla up there in a lot of the top 10 categories.
Another one bounced in there, but again, Dalton keeping the ball in front of him. And even though it's 20-30 feet up the line, Van Slyke no chance to score.
I tell you, that takes fortitude to continue to call that pitch, especially with a runner at third base. And Dalton's not afraid to do it.
No.
He has shown me something by calling that pitch. And Carmen hasn't even come close to throwing it over yet.
And every one that Dalton's had a chance to block, he has blocked.
So right now, if you're the hitter, you have to say, come on, he's not going to try it again. You got to go with the fastball, even though it's 1 and 2. He does.
And there's a fastball, and it just does miss. So it's 2 and 2.
Now we'll see what Dalton calls.
Vaughn skies it to center field. Lots of room for Dykstra. And the inning is over. But the Pirates add 2 runs on 2 hits here in the second and lead it 5-0.
In Baltimore tonight, following a 3-run home run by Cal Ripken Jr. in the first inning, Joe Orsulak hits a 2-run shot off Flash Gordon, and the Orioles now lead the Royals by a score of 5-0. Baltimore is still hitting. Let's go back to Philadelphia and Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks, Charlie. Here it's 5-0 Pittsburgh, and Von Hayes is doing the hitting. Hayes hitting .266, 10 homers and 45 RBIs, and Drabek in there with a strike.
Tough for the offense when you've dug the kind of hole that has happened when you've only sent 3 men to bat. There you are in the second inning, your number 4 man up there, Von Hayes, and you already trail by 5-0.
Yep, the Phillies went in order in the first against Drabek. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Stephen, I think this is probably one of the major areas, aside from pitching, that the Philadelphia Phillies are concerned in. Von Hayes hitting the cleanup spot isn't really your ideal cleanup hitter. He's a good number 3 hitter, maybe even a number 5 hitter.
That ball's going to be out of play, even though King and Bell gave it a look.
But it's tough to replace Mike Schmidt, who is in that spot for such a long time. Nick Leyva, the clean-shaven Nick Leyva, we might add.
Nick Leyva, the youngest manager in the big leagues. Up until this afternoon, he had a mustache, and he grew it because he thinks maybe it makes him look older. Well, this afternoon he came out to batting practice. He shaved half of it off and left half of it on, and he took a poll among the players. Which way do you like it best, guys? Now, obviously, he was planning on shaving the other half, and he told you why.
Well, he said he knew his mom back in Ontario, California, would be watching this game. So the clean-shaven 36-year-old manager of the Phillies.
Just for you, Mom, Mrs. Leyva, you don't want your son looking shaggy. Hayes crushes one, but it's going to be foul.
But getting back to that cleanup situation with the Phillies, there's been a lot of talk here in the Philadelphia area about the possible acquisition of Dale Murphy. And there's a look at the power outage of the Phillies, and certainly a Dale Murphy would settle nicely into that lineup.
10th out of 12 teams in the league as Von Hayes goes down on strikes. Drabek's first strikeout, 1 out in the second. Let's go back to Charlie Steiner.
All right, Steve. Jack Armstrong's been struggling of late, having lost his last 4 starts, and here is Roberto Alomar with a ground rule double. That would score Bip Roberts, and that would give the Padres a 2-0 lead. They now lead the Reds 2-1. They're hitting in the 4th. Back to you, Mr. Zabriskie.
Well, thank you, Mr. Steiner. I'm here with Mr. Hutton.
Hey, let's not be so formal.
That's right. Next time, give me your business card. Carmelo Martinez, and you could call him Mr. Martinez. He's big enough. Hitting just .239, though. Martinez has struggled and has been in and out of the lineup. Drives it the other way to right field. Gary Reedus right there, and quickly 2 out.
Well, Martinez has been playing first base, but Ricky Jordan, who has struggled, has had some wrist problems. He had wrist problems last year. Has fallen in disfavor because of his batting average, not hitting the way they had hoped. So Martinez got himself in the lineup.
2 out, nobody on for John Kruk. But he and Len Dykstra on the same team is kind of scary. They are characters in their own right. Struck hitting .276, 2 homers and 37 RBI. And as he is wont to do, he hits the ball the other way.
You'll believe it or not, when he was in the minor leagues, he had a closed stance. He did not hit that way. Minor league hitting instructor with the Padres, one of their instructors, Jack Maloof, worked with him and said, why don't you try it this way? Well, he tried the open stance, and it's been successful for him.
He hits with power the other way very well. You would think a guy with an open stance, depending on what he does with his front foot during the pitch, would have a greater tendency to pull the ball. But not John. He's a lasher. He lashes at those pitches. Drabek has retired the first 5 in a row. 2-1 to Kruk. 3-1. A very high short fly ball to left field and Barry Bonds, and the inning is over. 6 in a row retired by Drabek at the end of 2. It's still 5-0 Pittsburgh.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Wheaties. Better get your whole grain, better eat your Wheaties. By Thompson's, the first name in lasting protection. And by Parts Plus. For name brands you can rely on, go to Parts Plus, America's family of auto parts stores.
Don Slott leading off the 3rd inning for the Pirates. Pittsburgh with a 5-0 lead. Fouled the first pitch out of play for strike 1. Slott had a base hit to left field in the 1st inning. Don Carmen working in relief of Bruce Ruffin. Strike 2.
Actually, with the Phillies coming back with a left-hander, Carmen following Ruffin kind of plays into the hand of Pittsburgh, but sometimes you don't have that ability early on to really do what you want. And now all the right-handers in that lineup, that doesn't do any damage to the Pirates.
Yeah, initially you might be surprised that he would follow Ruffin with Carmen, but I think one of the things that went into Nick Leyva's thinking was, hey, we got to get a guy in there that we know is pitching well and is tough to hit and is going to shut these guys down. However, Don Slott puts one into the left field corner, and he's headed for second and will make it easily with a leadoff double to start the 3rd. Slott is 2 for 2.
No one has ever questioned the offensive ability of Don Slott. The problems over the years, but he seemed to have improved each season and doesn't do a bad job behind the plate. But that's always where the problem has been with Slott defensively. But he can always swing the bat.
Well, the Pirates have one of the best defensive catchers in baseball in Mike LaValliere, so they can always stick Spanky in there for defensive purposes, even if Slott has been the starter. Sid Bream drove in a run with a base hit to right center in the 1st inning. His 46th RBI of the year. There's the 3rd base umpire, Bob Davidson, who did not have an appeal on that play.
Notice the National League umpires just recently starting to wear the black armband in memory of the late Augie Donatelli, National League umpire.
You see it on the left arm of home plate umpire Charlie Ralliford. 2-0 to Bream. And he hits a high fly ball to fairly deep center. Dykstra going back, and it is gone. A 2-run home run for Bream, and it is 7-0 Pittsburgh. Third RBI of the game for Sid Bream. And the first home run this year he's hit against a left-hander.
You had mentioned it before, the fact that all of his home runs had come against the righties, but he gets the count in his favor, and We talked earlier about forgetting about the numbers on the walls here at Veterans Stadium. The dimensions don't mean a thing. The ball jumps, and that was a perfect example of all that ball carried into right center field.
And when it was first hit, at least Dykstra and I didn't think that it was going to be out of here. Jose Lean with a drive to right center that's going to go off the wall. Lean will cruise into second with a double. And the Pirates brought their bats with them from Chicago. You mentioned, Tommy, how they were pounding the ball yesterday, and it has not slowed one bit tonight.
Yeah, they beat the Cubs yesterday 8-5, 15 hits. Bonilla had a couple of home runs, and what a treat it has to be right now for Jimmy Leyland, not for Nick Leyva, because with Bonilla not in the lineup, Jeff Parrott starts to loosen up because of a stomach virus. He was a little tentative about sending the lineup out that he had without Bonilla, because Bonilla was hot, hit 2 home runs yesterday, but all of a sudden he could relax a little bit now.
Yeah, I think so. With a 7-0 lead in the third.
Tell Bonilla to go back in the clubhouse and lay down.
Right, Bobby. Take it easy. Drabek looking to bunt with Lean at second.
Well, just to show you how managers are always thinking. Prior to the game in Leyland's office, he was saying, well, maybe Bonilla will come to me and say I'm starting to feel a little better. He said, I don't want the Phillies to know, though, that he's not available. He might not even be able to pinch hit tonight. I don't want them to know that.
Ball 2 to Drabek. Well, the pressure's off Bonilla and Leland. That's for sure. Although it's early, stranger things have happened than for a team to lose a 7-run lead when they're up that much just in the third inning. Ball 3. Well, Carmen, who had exhibited outstanding control coming into the game, has lost it a little. Nobody out here in the third as he's given up a double, a home run, and a double for the first 3 hitters.
You know, you tend to lose that control when all of a sudden everything you throw in the strike zone is pounded and hit hard. Then you try to nibble a little bit more, even though he's pitching to the pitcher, and then you get out of the strike zone.
There's a strike at the knees, 3-1.
You know, there may be some who are questioning Drabek bunting in this situation, but it's early in the game. We've seen the way the ball jumps. The Phillies have a good offensive ball club, so you just want to add on and get as many as you can, and you have your pitcher up there, so sacrifices in order.
Ball 4, and Drabek has walked twice. Don Carmen wasn't going to let him sacrifice.
You see Nick Leyva motioning with his hand, telling Darren Dalton to go out and talk to Carmen to allow Parrott a little more time in the bullpen.
Jeff Parrott warming for Philadelphia. And a reminder that ESPN's baseball always comes your way on Sunday night at 8 Eastern time. And this Sunday night baseball comes from Baltimore. Kansas City will be at Memorial Stadium to take on the Orioles. George Brett really coming on offensively, having a great second half. John Miller and Ray Knight will be there to bring it to you Sunday night at 8 Eastern time. Well, here comes Nick, and I guess the talk by Darren Dalton was long enough to get the word from the bullpen, as he may or may not decide to make a change here again. Yeah, we'll make a change in the second, and here we are in the third.
Yeah, when he walked out so slowly after sending Dalton out there before him, he's just going to take his time. He wants Parrott to heating it up in a hurry. Usually when a manager goes out in that fashion, he's going to make a move.
Well, home plate umpire Charlie Ralliford sort of hastening things along. So the change will be made with nobody out in the third inning. 7-0 Pittsburgh. Well, it's Friday, but it's not the 13th. But a lot of strange things are happening in Philadelphia tonight. Most of them strangely good for the Pirates and strangely bad for the Phillies. And Jeff Parrott is into the game as the third pitcher of the night, and we've only completed 2 full innings. Gary Reedus batting for the 3rd time in as many innings. Takes a ball.
Well, Parrott will give the Pirate hitters another look. Fastball, slider. Came over with Floyd Yeomans in a deal that sent Kevin Gross to the Montreal Expos.
1-1.
You know, of the many deals that Lee Thomas has made, that might be the only one that he would take back, possibly. But everything else has worked out quite well.
Good fastball. Reedus couldn't catch up to it, and it was in a good location. 1-2. You know, you look at the Phillies, Tommy, just continuing that thought and say, yeah, well, you know, they're not really in contention yet, but they're 10 games out. They're in 4th place, but they've come a long way. I mean, this is a club that a few years ago was dead last. Still, pitching continues to be their Achilles heel.
Well, you're right. The Phillies last year won only 67 ball games.
So they're doing a lot better this year, but they still don't have the pitching necessary to contend. Last in walks. Strike call. And Reedus is out of there. Parrott with a fastball on the inside corner. 1 out in the 3rd. Back to the studio and Charlie Steiner.
Steve, they're playing home run derby at the Fens tonight. Perks and Fielder had already hit home runs, and here's Tony Pena. This is his 5th of the season. The victim is Paul Gibson, and the Red Sox now have a lead of 8-1. A laugher here and a laugher there.
Yeah, but 2 of the 4 teams aren't laughing, Charlie. Tony Pena swinging so hard he hurt himself as well as the baseball, probably. 1 out for Jay Bell, who is 1 for 2.
Now, we were mentioning earlier about the talks of Dale Murphy possibly becoming a Philadelphia Philly. Jeff Parrott's name has been mentioned as one of the players that maybe would go on to Atlanta. And it's been kind of a disruptive last week or so for Parrott. I'm sure it's been the same for Dale Murphy. Hearing all these things, you come to the ballpark and you want to have it settled one way or the other.
Yeah, but you know, here are the Phillies in desperate need of pitching.
Yeah.
You know, why?
I know what you're going to say.
You know, Dale Murphy's a great guy and a wonderful player, and probably he would have better numbers, and the Phillies certainly wouldn't be hurt by having him, offensively or defensively, but they've got to get some pitching. And if they're going to give up pitchers, one would think they'd try to get some in return.
And on the other hand, the Braves looking for any kind of arms. Parrott, Roger McDowell, his name was mentioned.
Well, the Braves are going to get, for Dale Murphy, they're going to make sure they're going to get what they need and want. Grounded foul. Still 1-2 to Bell.
There was an article in the paper today talking about Bobby Cox and his inability maybe to pull the trigger on those deals. You well know the situation with the Mets, talking about Dale Murphy last year before. Howard Johnson, Lenny Dykstra, Rick Aguilera,
and Sid Fernandez. All those names were mentioned. The deal never came off. Inside, 2-2. Runners at first and second, 1 out here in the 3rd. Jose leaned at second, and Doug Drabek, the pitcher who has walked twice, is at first. 2 runs are in here in the 3rd to make it 7-0 Pittsburgh. Good breaking ball. Parrott really, after a couple of good fastballs, yanked the old chain there and had Bell way out in front.
Yeah, there's that good breaking pitch of Jeff Parrott to go along with the fastball. He got a little help earlier in the year from his father. Dad was watching the pitch on television. Parrott was really struggling. Earned run average over 6, and he told Jeff, he said, when you're winding up and throwing, I can't see your can. Now what he meant was the little can of Skol in the back pocket. He wasn't turning and showing that to the catcher, to the hitter. Wasn't getting much on his pitches.
Whether you're hitting or pitching, you have got to go back.
There's the can
before you go forward
in that left pocket.
Van Slyke takes way outside ball. 1-1. Andy tonight has walked and scored and singled to drive in a run in the 2nd. He's also stolen the base. Extending his hot streak to 6 consecutive games, hitting well over 700. And a base hit inside the 3rd baseline. Jose Lean will score. Doug Drabek headed for third. He's going to be held there. And Van Slyke with an RBI double to make it 8-0 Pirates.
Well, you don't have to worry about Slick when he starts hitting the ball in that direction. And when he struggles, he seems to pull off pitches. We mentioned earlier he was behind the fastball, a little bit ahead of the breaking pitch, but now that he's on a streak, he set pitch out over the plate, doesn't try to pull it, and just screams it past Charlie Hayes, the third baseman. Only problem, he made Drabek run hard. He's still got a few more innings that he needs to get out of his arm with that 8-0 lead.
Jeff King grounds out to short to end the inning. But the Pirates tack on 3 more runs. Sid Brame with a 2-run homer. It's 8-0.
Well, as difficult as you might find it to believe, there are some pitchers' duels going on around Big League Baseball tonight in Cincinnati. Hurst and Armstrong in the Padre Red game. And here Mike Pagliarulo helps Bruce Hurst as he robs Todd Benzinger in the bottom half of the 4th. Paz now hitting in the top of the 5th. Steve?
Thank you, Charlie. It's not a pitcher's duel here. However, Doug Drabek has retired the first 6 that he has faced. So although he has a nice 8-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning, he has been on. Grounded at third and off Jeff King. Dickie Thon thrown out at first. So Thon hit it sharply. There have been 3 balls hit sharply against Drabek, but he has now retired 7 in a row.
Well, if you watch much hockey, you'll see goalies do exactly what Jeff King did. He just got down, made sure he blocked the ball, and then casually picked it up to toss out Dickie Thon.
Not quite a skate save, but close to it.
The forearm save.
Yeah. Charlie Hayes, the hitter, hitting .274. Charlie leading all National League third basemen in fielding percentage. And a slider missing outside, ball 1.
Yeah, 2 coaches with the Phillies have really worked a lot, put in a lot of time, and Charlie Hayes appreciates the time they have put in his fielding. Larry Boa and John Vukovic.
Fouled off.
He had problems last year as a third baseman. They worked with him as far as positioning, staying alert. And the 2 I mentioned on the corners coaching for Philadelphia. Larry Bowa at third base. John Vukovic at first.
Well, Boa knows a little something about picking it because he played more games at shortstop than anybody else in the National League history. A guy who was cut 3 times from his high school baseball team in Sacramento, California, and went on to play more games at short than anybody in the National League.
Made himself a hitter. Over 2,000 hits for Larry Bowa.
Hayes fouling it off at home plate, and it's 2-2.
Charlie Hayes also had put in a bat order. Bats didn't arrive. Started using Roger McDowell's bats. But Roger, relief pitcher, didn't get too many opportunities. I think Leyland looks that way even if it's a 1-1 game.
Yeah, his intensity is pretty much constant. But when he came to the Pirates, he said he needed to teach them to learn how to win. He needed to teach them how to win. They had not learned how to win. And I think he's done it. Because a lot of people thought that as soon as the Mets caught the Pirates, and many people felt it was inevitable that the Mets would catch the Pirates, they would fold. Jose Lean playing Charlie Hayes behind the bag, throws him out. 8 in a row retired, 2 out. Let's go back to Charlie.
Well, we got a busy night here, Steve, and Cal Ripken's got a busy night going. This is his 2nd home run of the evening, his 13th of the season. It's the 4th for the Birds off Tom Flash Gordon. It's 7-0 Baltimore. Flash in his last 2 outings has given up 11 runs, 15 hits against Baltimore.
Well, they're catching up to us. 7-0 there, and 8-0.
What's
here.
in the air tonight?
I don't know.
What is it?
A lot of baseballs are in the air tonight. Well, here's Jeff Parrott. Now, when the game started, Bruce Ruffin was going to bat 9th. Then Don Carmen was going to bat 9th. But by the time we have gotten to the 9th spot in the Phillies order. It's the 3rd pitcher who bats 9th. Jeff Parrott.
And oddly enough, he's 0 for 9.
Or not oddly enough, as the case may be. Two out and nobody on.
I guess Cal Ripken's starting to wear down with all that play. Huh? 2 home runs tonight.
Cal, give him a rest. All that running around the bases, you know, he may have to take tomorrow off. Isn't it amazing how earlier in the year people were clamoring for Ripken to give up the streak? It's hurting your play. You're not going to be able to keep going. Now he's having a great second half. Jeff Parrott down on strikes. Doug Drabek has retired the first 9 in a row and leads 8-0.
It's a good news, bad news proposition for Tom Candiotti tonight. The good news is he's got a no-hitter through 4. The bad news is he's losing 2-1. But there was a terrific defensive play in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Kevin Moss is robbed by Corey Snyder. Look at that snow cone catch. Now let's go back to Philadelphia. Steve?
Thank you, Charlie. There's the Philly fanatic heading for the exits. David Raymond, who does such a wonderful job here. Right now, I think the best mascot in baseball. Has been for a few years. Barry Bonds to lead off the top of the 4th for the Pirates. It's a tight one. 8-0. Bonds 0 for 2. One of the few Pirates who doesn't have a hit. He has reached on a fielder's choice and scored and flied to center. Two balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. If you said before the game, if you were in the 4th inning and Bobby Bonilla wasn't in the lineup, Barry Bonds was hitless, you wouldn't expect to be leading 8-0.
No. Out of play down the left field line, and the count even now, 2-2.
You know, the Pirates, a lot of people forget last year in the National League were last in offense. A lot of that had to do with injuries, but nevertheless they were down at the bottom as far as offense was concerned.
And that was somewhat of a surprise because of the players that they do have. But this year they have produced, and Bonds will walk, and he has been the major producer individually for the Pirates. Wally Backman and Andy Van Slyke there in the background having some fun. It's always fun when you're up 8-0.
Oh, you bet. It's a good example. A couple of guys right there, 8-0, but they're talking about hitting. Van Slyke holding his shoulder.
Well, Don Slott's been doing some hitting. 2 for 2 with a single, a double, and a run scored. And Sluggo, who entered the game hitting .342, even though he had been 3 for his last 26, may have broken out of that slump. Lays off that high pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Oh, we talked about Slott and his offensive capabilities. He's a .270 lifetime hitter. I think Barry Bonds will be taking off. He has 35 steals this year.
Foul the other way, 1-2.
And Slott in his days with Kansas City, where he started his professional career, then went to Texas. Had some time in the pinstripes with the Yankees.
Down low. 2-2. Bonds fake going, but did not go to second and pitch low and away. So it's a 3-2 count. Nobody out with Barry at first base.
Here's how a runner can decoy the infield. Bonds not going anywhere, but with that fake, he might pull the shortstop or second baseman over to cover the bag, and then all of a sudden a hole is open.
Now he is running. Slot strikes out, and the throw goes into center field. Bonds heading for third. It'll be a stolen base and an error on Darren Daulton, allowing Bonds to go to third. And for Barry, his 36th steal of the year.
With Bonds running on this run and hit, he takes a peek to see what happens. Knows that the throw's coming, and then also picks up where the throw goes. It's good alert base running by Barry Bonds. And you'd have to say, yes, it's in the genes. Bobby did the same.
Yeah, Barry may surpass many of the great things accomplished by his father. Probably will. Sid Bream, the hitter, takes a strike on the inside corner. Bream tonight 2 for 2, an RBI single and a 2-run home run. He has driven in 3 of the Pirates' 8 runs. 1-1.
It's really a tough situation for Nick Leyva. The Phillies, you're forced to bring the infield in. You don't want to give up any more runs, and it just makes Bream that much of a better hitter.
That's right in there, 1-2. Sid obviously didn't think it was right in there.
Parrott not questioning the call at all.
That's right. Come on, man, get back in there. Let's go. Barry Bonds at third, 1 out. And that one is inside, 2-2.
Even though Parrott has struggled, the Phillies or whatever club he will be on, always keep going with an arm that can throw the ball over 90 miles an hour, and that's what he does with his fastball.
His fastball tonight has been clocked in the low 90s, 92, 93. He missed with that breaking ball. So it's another full count, 3-2. Nick Leyva down there in the background. And Bream fouls it into the Philly dugout. Still 3-2.
A couple of guys talking with Nick Leyva prior to the game that with the Cardinals when he was a coach over there for Whitey Herzog, Andy Van Slyke, LaValliere.
Breaking ball gets Bream. 4th strikeout for Jeff Parrott.
After seeing that good fastball, Parrott with the split finger, he has added that to his repertoire.
Among the 3 Phillies pitchers so far, 100 pitches. We have 2 out in the 4th.
Every time I'm involved in a game where there's so many pitches thrown, always reminds me of old Charles Red Barrett.
Lean slices it foul. It's out of play.
You remember him, don't you, Steve, with the Boston Braves back in the 40s?
Sure, I was there.
He pitched a complete game victory against Cincinnati one afternoon. Threw 58 pitches
in 9 innings.
Red Barrett, 9 innings against Cincinnati, Boston Braves.
58 pitches. He must be Bob Gibson's hero. Leaned. Fair ball right on the line and a ground rule double. It scores Bonds from third, and the Pirates lead 9-0.
Well, everything going correctly for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have a hitter who had struggled coming into this game. Jose Lean was 1 for 22, but he picks up his 2nd double. All Parrott's hoping for right there is get foul. Look at the shoulders shrug. You don't have to see the call of the umpire to know where that ball landed.
Body language tells it all. Parrott can't believe it. But that's the kind of night it's been. Make a good pitch and somebody gets enough wood on it to get a base hit and drive in a run. Doug Drabek skies one behind first. Tommy Herz over there, and the inning is over. Drabek's batted 3 times in the first 4 innings. Not only that, he has a 9-0 lead. All the crooked numbers belong to the Pirates, as the Phillies have not even managed a base runner against Doug Drabek through the first 3 innings, and in the first 4 innings the Pirates have not failed to score.
Well, some of the little leagues around the area have a 9-run rule where they just discontinue the game, but that's not the case in the major leagues.
No, we could see double digits tonight. Len Dykstra, who lined hard to Jeff King, the third baseman, grounds one to second. Jose Lean will flip to Breen. One away very quickly here in the fourth.
Good communication right there between Lean and Bream. Bream took a couple of quick steps to his right, thinking that he might have a play, but Lean called him off, and that's what a second baseman should do, because if you involve the pitcher in that play, you're not going to get Dykstra.
That's right.
And as soon as he heard Lean, Bream hustled back to the bag. Lean waited for him and gave him the toss.
And you played first base, Tommy. You know that if you don't hear anything from the second baseman, you've got to keep going for that ball.
Yeah.
Darren Dalton flied to short right field in the first inning, and he takes the breaking ball for strike 1.
Well, that's just some of the little things that people forget about in a ball game. The first baseman and the third baseman also rely on the shortstop and second baseman to let them know on off-speed pitches. If you have a left-handed pull hitter up there and you're a first baseman, if the second baseman sees changeup, you like to know, and so they'll yell something over, let you know a little bit.
Especially if you're holding a guy on.
Look where Lean's playing Dalton too.
Right field. Good curveball. Almost a slurve for strike 2, 1 and 2.
You know, it's harder for some pitchers, most pitchers, to pitch in a ball game when they lead 9-0 as opposed to 0-0.
The concentration has a tendency to wander. Strike 3 called. After a diet of breaking balls, he got Darren Dalton with a fastball. Third strikeout for Doug Drabek, and 2 out in the fourth.
Tell you what, so far it hasn't affected Drabek. Talked about him before the game, how he needs to have command of the pitches. We've seen the good sharp breaking ball. That time he spotted the fastball to strike out Dalton.
Tom Herr grounded to short to end the first inning. 11 in a row retired by Drabek. Ball 1.
Tommy Herr, the only second baseman in the major leagues, leading his club in RBIs. And that right there tells you the problem with a cleanup hitter for the Phillies.
That's right. He has 46. Von Hayes with 45. Grounded foul on side first. Von Hayes, the on deck hitter. You would look at the lineup of the Phillies and you'd say, well, if you just did it based on past abilities displayed by the players and on paper, you'd bet Dykstra first, probably Tommy Herr second, and Von Hayes third. But when you don't have a cleanup hitter, you've got to make some changes and do the best you can with what you do have. 2 balls, 1 strike. A drive to center field, and Slick right there, however, and Slick hauls it away. Doug Drabek, perfect through 4. 12 in a row retired.
And while the Pirates are generally having their way with the Phillies at the Vet, at Busch Stadium tonight, Jose De Leon grooves a fastball to Darrell Boston, and oh, what an acquisition he has been for the Mets, and oh, what a catch by the fan in the stands. 1-0 Mets, second inning.
All right, Charlie, and right here it's 9-0. Pittsburgh leading Philadelphia. And the Pirates just keep coming to the plate. We're starting the 5th inning here at the Vet, and Gary Reedus is going to be at the plate for the 4th time in the game. Although officially he's 0 for 2. He's 0 for 2, and he scored 2 runs because he's walked, reached on a fielder's choice, and struck out.
By the way, how about those Cardinals? 1-0 for Joe Torre.
I'll tell you what, I'm a little surprised that Joe took the job, but I'm very happy for him because I think he really wanted to prove that he could manage successfully in the big leagues, and he's gotten the opportunity again.
And I think he only would have chosen the St. Louis situation.
I think you're right. It's a natural. Reedus with a big cut, and it's 1 and 2.
Well, the people in Southern California will miss him, having been the voice of Angels television for the last 4 or 5 years. And that had to be a tough decision for Joe to leave that job and take on managing again.
Well, there's not a great deal of security in either business, but I'd have to say there's a little less security being a manager. Still a 2-2 count to Ritas, leading off the 5th inning. And see you later. Ritas obviously looking for something else. Big weekend here on ESPN, because tomorrow the NFL Hall of Fame induction ceremonies at 6 Eastern time. Sunday at 5:30 Eastern, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame induction featuring ESPN's own Joe Morgan and Jim Palmer, going into the Hall of Fame each in their first year of eligibility. So you're going to see the NFL and Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame inductions here on ESPN this weekend.
And a couple of class acts. Joe Morgan, Jim Palmer.
Oh, two of the best on and off the field. Jay Bell holds up, but not enough. 1-1.
These are those at bats that you hear hitters every once in a while talk about, especially the exceptional hitters, that they try not to give away.
Grounded sharply and by Fun and into left field for a base hit. And Jay Bell has his second hit of the night.
What I mean by that, so much of hitting is concentration. And when you get in a ball game and you're leading or losing 9-0, you tend to let things stray a little bit if you don't keep that concentration. This time Jay Bell stays with it, and he doesn't give that bat away. He gets a base hit. If anything is lacking in Thon and Tommy Herr, the middle infielders of the Phillies, it would be a little range. They both are solid players when the ball is hit to them. Maybe going left and right, they've lost a little.
And on the artificial turf, as they have here in Philadelphia, that's even more of a problem because the ball gets to the fielder so quickly. Andy Van Slyke has driven in 2 runs, scored a run, stolen a base, and it's a foul ball.
That fan at the corner of the seats there had a nice easy pick on that leaned bouncing double. You notice he got out of the way on that rope though by Van Slyke.
I think even if he's explaining to the ball girl, you see why he didn't make that. And
you sure that's what he's explaining to the ball girl?
Well, he's looking for sympathy, I'm sure, or a date, one or the other, or both. Outside, 2-1.
Talking about those hitters giving away at bats. Remember a statement, I believe it was Ted Williams, made one time saying that if he had to do it all over again, he would try not to give as many away.
Well, this one may be way away. Andy Van Slyke with a home run. J. Van Slyke, a name that should have a Roman numeral after it. He may sound like a banker, but he doesn't swing the bat like one.
See what Van Slyke's hoping. He's just saying stay fair because the ball started to hook. He knew it had distance. Now once he sees where it lands, he just takes off into the trot. Great extension by Van Slyke. Now watch the reaction of Parrott. Obviously you know what he's hoping for. Yeah, look. Going to be fair.
Pitchers have a way of knowing when the ball leaves the bat. Virtually the instant it is struck, without looking sometimes. So then it's going to be a home run. Jeff King with a base hit to left field. And the Pirates are doing some serious pounding tonight.
It's like the Dick Clark show. The hits keep coming. What a night for Van Slyke. Hit a home run yesterday in Chicago. And he's come back with another 4 RBIs for Van Slyke.
Darrell Knowles, the pitching coach of the Phillies, out of the dugout now.
Well, this is what happens when you're Nick Leyva. As a manager, you don't want to go out on the field right now. So you send out your pitching coach. Darrell Knowles. Dennis Cook starting to loosen up.
The Phillies had to go to their bullpen in the second inning, as starter Bruce Ruffin lasted only 1 1/3 inning. Jim Leyland has just been able to sort of kick back a little tonight, although it's hard to tell when Leyland does kick back.
Well, all that experience that he put together in those years in the minor leagues also attributes some of his help from Tony La Russa. They were together with the White Sox. Leyland, one of his coaches, didn't have to worry about any of that right now.
Nope. Barry Bonds takes a low pitch in the dirt for ball 1. Bonds is 0 for 2 plus a walk, but he has scored 2 runs and stolen a base. Grounded to second, and it could be 2. Hurd a thong in time to Martinez for the double play to win the inning. But the Pirates add 2 more runs on 3 hits, a home run by Van Slyke. 10 years ago, the Philadelphia Phillies met the Kansas City Royals in the World Series in 1980, and led by that World Series MVP and perhaps all-time third baseman Mike Schmidt, the Phillies won the series in 6 games as stopper Tug McGraw struck out Willie Wilson to end the series and start the celebration. And earlier before the game, Mike Schmidt receiving a replica of the World Championship trophy as they honored the 1980 World Champion Philadelphia Phillies on the 10th anniversary of that accomplishment. And they had Carlton, Schmidt, Tug McGraw, many of those. Just about all the players were here. Bake McBride, Dell Unser, just going on.
Yeah, Mike and his wife Donna, and the other 2 gentlemen, Ruley Carpenter, the owner of the ball club at that time, and general manager Paul Owens. A couple of the members of that ball club not able to be here tonight. Bob Boone still playing for the Kansas City Royals.
That's
Lonnie
right.
Smith with the Braves.
It was Booney who caught that 3rd strike from Tug McGraw that ended that World Series as Drabek throws out Bon Hayes, and Drabek is now retired 13 in a row.
Well, he hasn't lost his concentration. But right now, if you're a Philly hitter, you're starting to slouch a little bit.
11-0 Pittsburgh.
And another member, Steve, of that ball club is in the Pirate dugout. Bob Walk, right-handed pitcher. That was his rookie season that year. Was an 11-game winner for the world champion Phillies in 1980.
Walk was paraded around as well, even though he was wearing a Pirates uniform before the game. They honored him as well, which was nice.
That was really funny. I was talking to him about it before the game and asked him what he remembered about that world championship team, and he said it was his rookie year and he really didn't have any sight of them being world champions. He was just happy to be in the major leagues and pitching as a rookie.
He probably thought it was going to be like that every year. They were just going to go to the World Series, and this was normal.
Yeah, he said 2 or 3 years down the road, all of a sudden it hit him what he'd been a part of.
Carmelo Martinez with a ground ball to short. Easy play for Jay Bell. 2 away in the 5th inning. 14 in a row retired by Drabek.
One thing that'll keep you on your toes, though, in a game, here you the Pirates, you have an 11-0 lead. You might go back on your heels every now and then, but not when your pitcher's working on the type of game that Drabek is right now.
John Kruk, the hitter. Kruk, who hit .345 for the month of August. He's been tearing it up lately. His first at bat in the 2nd inning, he flied out to shallow left. Ball 1.
The svelte John Kruk took off some weight, has maintained that look, but he said before the game, he said, yeah, I look great, but I've lost all my power.
I'd I'll tell you what, he is one of West Virginia's favorite sons. And he does a piece of work.
Notice the number. Wearing number 19 that was worn for many years by Greg Luzinski, who was here tonight. He checked with the Bull before he asked to wear that number, and Bull said, "Go ahead. I don't care."
Well, that was nice of both of them.
Sure.
Yeah, the Bull and his bride were here to receive the trophy. Through 4 2/3. A bit low, 2-2.
Good pitch though. Drabek just trying to find that outside corner, and he missed, but he missed low. If you want to miss there, you either miss low or away. You don't want to miss over the center of the plate.
Slider to misses low and inside, so 3-2.
Del Drabek's still in this ball game. See his reaction on that pitch?
Yeah, he's frustrated. This may be the first full count that he's had tonight.
I believe it is.
2 out and nobody on, and that's been the case every inning. Ball 4. So the perfect game possibility goes by the boards as Kruk walks with 2 out, and that breaks the string of 14 in a row. Drabek has retired since the beginning of the ball game.
And the crowd here at Veterans Stadium going wild. This shows you what type of game Drabek has going, though. 3-2 pitch. Kruk can't believe he threw him a slider because it's 11-0.
But Drabek doesn't care what the score is right now. He doesn't care what his team's doing offensively. He's talking and thinking about what he has.
That's right. If it's 11-1 and the Phillies have a base hit or two, that 3-2 pitch is a fastball all the way.
Dickie Thon grounded out to third, opening the 3rd inning. And a breaking ball down low, 2-0. Time called by Don Slott.
Keep in mind, all this time, nearing the 2-hour mark, Drabek in the 5th inning, he has been hot. You see by that graphic, but it's the first time he's had to work from the stretch.
It's true. And also, he's been sitting down between innings a lot because the Pirates have been sending a ton of guys to the plate every inning.
He's been running the bases a lot.
Right in there with a fastball. 2-1 to Dickie Thon with John Kruk at first and 2 out. Three and 1. Drabek getting a little frustrated with himself.
If he loses Thon right here, I'm sure he'll see a visit from his pitching coach, Ray Miller.
Charlie Hayes on deck should Thon keep the inning going. Fly ball right field. Gary Reedus coming in, and the inning is over. A walk and 1 left in the 5th inning. The string is broken, but Philadelphia is still without a hit.
Amazing as it may seem, we have a pitcher's duel going on at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. After a Darrell Boston home run, Jose De Leon with a seeing eye single with 2 out, knocking in Terry Pendleton. That ties it at 1-1. Let's go back to Philadelphia.
Thank you, Charlie. Here it's 11-0, and the 4th pitcher of the night for the Philadelphia Phillies, Dennis Cook, is on. The double switch as Ricky Jordan is in the game to play first base, replacing Carmelo Martinez. And Don Slott fouls the first pitch back. There's Ricky Jordan. He will bat 9th. And Dennis Cook will bat 5th in what was Carmelo Martinez's spot in the order.
Cook, one of the players who came over in that deal with the San Francisco Giants. Steve Bedrosian going to the Giants in that June trade last year.
Base hit up the middle for Don Slott, who is 3 for 4.
That's one of those trades that a lot of people, especially in San Francisco, talk about now, but Bedrosian certainly filled the need for the Giants the second half of the season, taking him to the World Series.
Absolutely.
But
And Dennis Cook has never really,
that's right.
reached the potential they had.
You look into the future, though, and Terry Mulholland and Charlie Hayes also coming to Philadelphia. So in the long run, the Phillies probably got the better end of that.
Those are the trades that you have to look at from each team's perspective. The Phillies with a much more long-term approach to that deal. Sid Bream has singled and homered and driven in 3 runs. 2 for 3. 2 balls, no strikes. 3 of the 4 pitchers used by the Phillies tonight left-handers. And none have been effective. Fly ball down the left field line. Struck a long run and bounds into the stands after hitting in foul territory. So it's 2 balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, it's hard to say your most effective pitcher allowed 3 runs, but Jeff Parrott in the 3 innings struck out 5, but did allow the 3 tallies.
Then he gave up 5 hits, which is no surprise because the Pirates have 14 hits. Nobody is out in the 6th inning. Make that 15 hits. Bream with a shot to the corner. Don Slott rounding to third. He will hold there. And Bream has a double to go with his single and home run.
Oh, the Pirates have matched their total of hits that they had yesterday at Wrigley Field, 15, but they're only in the 6th inning. And Bream not being bothered at all by the left-handers. You mentioned the only out he made was against the right-handers, Jeff Parrott.
And he hit his first home run of the season against the left-handed pitcher tonight. Jose Lean has 2 doubles in 3 at-bats. He has driven in a run and scored a run. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, and the Phillies bring the infield in again. And a drive down the right field line, slicing foul. Jose will more often than not hit the ball the other way.
I guess our crack staff was at work. Has a little bit of a report out of Atlanta.
Yes, the preliminary word, and we stress preliminary, is that WSB, the station in Atlanta, is reporting that the Braves have in fact traded Dale Murphy to the Phillies for Jeff Parrott, who just left the game. The Phillies, when contacted by ESPN, said that it was preliminary and they could not comment. Now that Parrott's out of the game, maybe they will be able to comment, because apparently he just pitched his last inning for the Phillies. Ground ball to third. Hayes will hold the runner at third and throw Leaned out, 1 away. Slot remaining at third and Bream at 2nd.
Yeah, we also understand that the Phillies would not deny the trade either.
And Jeff Parrott not in the dugout, but that's really not unusual. After pitching, he would more than likely go into the clubhouse and shower. And whether or not there's anything else involved in the deal, any other players or minor leaguers or players to be named later, we don't know. But that's the preliminary report, is that Dale Murphy has been traded for Jeff Parrott. Doug Drabek skies one to center. Dykstra lost it for a minute. Will Slot tag up? He'll fake, but he will not come home. 2 away.
Once Dykstra picked it up, though, he got the good momentum coming toward the plate to eliminate any chance of Don Slott to try to score from third. And what I like to see, he came up and fired a strike to the cutoff man.
Maybe 11-0, but it's still baseball.
That's right. That's still Lenny Dykstra out there too.
Right. So Gary Reedoff, the leadoff hitter, who's hitless, although he scored 2 runs, will bat for the 5th time, and we're in the 6th inning. Gary has walked, reached on a fielder's choice, and struck out twice. Good fastball, but too high. Ball 1. 2 out and 2 on, with Slot at third and Sid Bream at 2nd. Yeah, the Pirates desperately need some runs here. It's only 11-0.
It's always too early to watch the scoreboard, except if you get the last week or so of September. I have the feeling the Mets have taken a peek at the scoreboard in St. Louis.
They know the score, no question about it. They lead the Pirates by 1 game starting play tonight. And at last report, they were tied in St. Louis 1-1. That game, of course, behind this one. Although they may catch up, even though they started an hour after this game. It's a possibility that game could finish before this one.
A couple of good workers. I think Cone and McGrain are working in that game.
If it stays low scoring, they could blow right by us. Outside, 2-2. Strike 3 called, and for the 3rd time, Reedus caught looking. It ends the inning, and it's the first inning in which the Pirates do not score.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealers. By Showtime, Showtime exclusives. Here you see them, there you don't. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Oh, very nice, gentlemen. Nice effect there. Although a good director would have had the AT&T logo exactly over the moon.
Hey, that's the way the baseball has looked for the Pirate hitters tonight.
You got that right. That's a good point. Like hitting the full moon. Not so for the Phillies. Charlie Hayes grounded to second, his first at bat, and he's going to ground to first here as Sid Green makes the play unassisted. 1 out in the 6th inning. An 11-0 Pittsburgh lead, and Doug Drabek has allowed but 1 base runner, and that was a walk to John Kruk in the 5th.
And I'll tell you, he knows what he has going right here. Did you see how quickly he bounced off the mound? He wasn't sure if Green was going to make that play himself. Drabek is right there.
Take nothing for granted. Ricky Jordan batting for the first time. Jordan hitting .236, 4 homers and 35 RBIs. Batting in the number 9 spot after the double switch when Dennis Cook was brought in to pitch. Last inning by Nick Lava. A fastball popped up, and it could be playable for Bream. Over near the seats, but too far. In about the 3rd row. Had it been about the 2nd row, he might have had it.
3 knee operations, and Bream is back. It's really been a battle for the Pirate first baseman.
Well, as one who has had a few knee injuries, I can empathize with that.
I was going to say, you can relate to that, can't you?
Look at, he wears a brace, albeit a minor piece of equipment, on his right knee. Grounded into the hole. Jay Bell backhands, throws, and gets Ricky Jordan out number 2.
All of a sudden, the Pirate infield starting to make sure they get to that ball, come up with a nice clean throw. Bell really went over for this ball tentatively because he wanted to set himself. Watch when he gets into the hole. He gets himself in position with the backhand so he can get something on the throw, and then fires it over hard to Bream.
As has been the case every inning. 2 out and nobody on. And the top of the order, Len Dykstra. Lenny has lined out to 3rd and grounded to 2nd. And he's grounding to 2nd again. Jose Lean makes sure, and the inning is over. The Pirates go in order in the 6th. Only a walk allowed. It is a still 11-0. 11-0, and you may not think there's been much pitching in this game, but on the part of Doug Drabek of the Pirates, there has been. He works his second inning in relief as the fourth pitcher of the night, and Phil Campusano, rookie center fielder of the Phillies, replaces Len Dykstra. As we go to the seventh inning, Jay Bell the hitter, and he skies it to right field. Von Hayes over near the corner, one away.
I kind of thought it'd be nice to see if he could do that inning with the music going, the entire inning.
That would be good. That'd be nice. You know, they had the announcerless game in football. We could have the musical background for baseball. And then the next thing you get is you get the Pips or somebody like backup singers to go along with.
Well, they say that everything for hitting is rhythm. Pitching, you need a lot of rhythm. Who's to say broadcasters don't need a little rhythm?
There you go. Perfect. I think we've stumbled onto something here, Hud. Innovation is our middle name here at ESPN. Musical baseball. Perfect night for it. Full moon and everything.
Would have gone unnoticed in a 2-1 ball game.
Well, Andy Van Slyke has done anything but go unnoticed tonight. Van Slyke, a single, a double, a home run. He has driven in 4 runs, stolen a base, scored 2 runs. He's had a good week tonight.
Yeah, it is 13 for his last 17.
Ground ball, Ricky Jordan at first, flipping over to Dennis Cook, and they finally retire Van Slyke, who had been on base 4 times. Well, the American Bowl surprisingly comes from Tokyo, Japan. I guess they call it that because there's 2 American football teams playing. The Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks will go at it tomorrow night at 10 Eastern time on ESPN's NFL preseason coverage. Denver and Seattle in the American Bowl from Tokyo. Football is here already. Jeff King, the hitter. He has a single and a triple and 2 RBIs in 4 at-bats. Sharp shot to short. Dickie Thon to Jordan, 2 away, or the inning is over. I'll be all right. That's the first time the Pirates have gone in order. I was totally surprised.
Well, of course, those of you watching the Pirate-Philly game know that Doug Drabek's got a no-hitter going, and so does this guy, Tom Candiotti, who has been dazzling him with the knuckleball. A no-hitter through 6, but the Indians and Yankees are tied at 2. Cleveland hitting in the top half of the 7th inning. Steve?
Well, it's nice to know, Charlie, that there are some close games going on tonight, because here the story is not the score. Pittsburgh up 11-0. The story is the pitching performance turned in so far by Doug Drabek. Doug Drabek has allowed only a walk through the first 6 innings. That came in the 5th with 2 out to John Kruk. Other than that, he has been cutting down the Phillies hitters one right after another. And lately the Phillies haven't been able to get a ball out of the infield hardly. Darryl Dalton has flied to short right field and struck out looking. Dalton, Furr, and Hayes here in the 7th for Philadelphia. A strike with a fastball. 2-1.
Last Sunday, when Drabek beat the Phillies in Pittsburgh 3 to complete game victory, Dalton hit a home run in that game. So he saw him all right in Pittsburgh so far, as is everyone, hitless against Drabek.
Grounded toward the hole. Jay Bell again fires it over in time, 1 away. Another ground ball out, and the batter will be Tom Herr, who is also 0 for 2. He has grounded to short and hit one of the few well-hit balls against Drabek, a line drive to center field in the 4th.
Yeah, I was trying to go back and see what balls were hit hard. That one and the first batter of the ball game for the Phillies, the line drive by Lenny Dykstra to third. It was hit hard. It was right at Jeff King.
Carmelo Martinez hit a ball fairly well to right field, but that's been about it. That pitch outside for ball 1.
Tommy Herr, the type of hitter that pitchers concern themselves with when they do have a no-hitter. He doesn't strike out very much, hits the ball all over, line drive type hitter.
And throughout his career, he has really hit well against the Pirates. He has a lifetime .323 average against Pittsburgh pitching. just outside the first base bag. Charlie Williams had to dance over the ball and make the call at the same time.
This crowd's into the ball game too. Normally, with the score 11-0, be people filtering out, trying to get an early lead to beat traffic, but they know what Drabek's working on.
They don't want him to get it, but if he does, they want to see it.
They want to see it. That's great.
That's a double-edged sword of being the fan of the other team. Foul back out of play. 2-2. Drabek with 3 career 2-hitters, and one of those was last Sunday against the Philadelphia Phillies in Pittsburgh. So Dalton's home run last Sunday only for one of only 2 hits. Fouled off again. Still 2-2.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be working the Dave Stewart no-hitter up in Toronto. Maybe it's me.
Hey, is that a commentary on the way you used to hit when you were playing?
I was involved in one. Bert Hooton, 1972 or 73. No hit the Philadelphia Phillies. Hooton with the Cubs.
Just outside. 3-2. And I believe this is the second full count Doug Drabek has had tonight. On the other full count, he walked John Kruk, the only Philadelphia base runner tonight. Fouled away.
You know, we talked about Tommy Herr leading the club with 46 RBIs last year. Herr had only 37, but everybody remembers that tremendous year he had with St. Louis. Over 100 RBIs, 110 RBIs for Herr back in '85.
He was certainly one of the main reasons that the Cardinals found themselves in the World Series that year.
Hit .302 that year.
He was the offensive second baseman probably in baseball that season. Fouls another one off.
The other thing that Tommy Herr has always done so well throughout his now 11th year in the major leagues, he's always been pretty steady from both sides of the plate. Some switch hitters, you'll see a big difference in one side from the other, but Herr has always kept the average right about the same, left-handed and right-handed.
Ground ball to second. Leaned. Throws him out. 2 away. Well, a reminder, even though we do have some excitement here, there's more to follow. Game 2 of our Friday night ESPN Baseball Tonight doubleheader. California at Oakland. Gary Thorne will be out there along with Norm Hitchcock to bring you all the action of Game 2 of the doubleheader as soon as we're through here in Philadelphia. We'll send you out there to Thorny and Norm. So stay with us.
Tentatively scheduled, Scott Sanderson against Jim Abbott in that ball game.
Bon Hayes 0 for 2. Has struck out and grounded back to Drabek, and he takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Yet again, 2 out and nobody on base. Fly ball fairly deep right center field, but Andy Van Slyke has room. And the drama continues through 7 innings. Doug Drabek has allowed but a walk. And he has a comfortable lead to work with, 11-0. As Doug Drabek does, very few people will sit next to you or talk to you. It's also the case if you've had a horrible outing. People will leave you alone in the dugout as well.
The no-win situation.
That's right. Joe Baver on to become the 5th pitcher of the night for the Phillies, and Barry Bonds the first hitter. Rod Booker is also in the game for the Phillies at second base, replacing Tom Herr. Bonds pops it up into left center field. Kruk and Sil Capasano converging, and it's Kruk for out number 1. So 1 out, nobody on for Don Slott. While Bonds has been hitless tonight, Slott has hardly been without a hit. 2 singles and a double and a run scored in 4 at bats. Ball 1.
It's also amazing as many games as we get a chance to see when you have these offensive onslaughts.
No
pun intended.
Pun intended.
But
Pun
there's
definitely.
always someone who is hitless. And tonight it's Barry Bonds for Pittsburgh.
He and Gary Reedus are the only 2 Pirates other than Drabek without a hit. Slott gets jammed and rolls it to short. Bond throws him out. 2 gone here in the 8th inning. And let's go to Charlie Steiner for another update in the studio.
Doug Drabek's not the only pitcher with a no-hitter tonight. Tom Candiotti has one, and the Indians have now given him some offensive support as Chris James knocks home Alex Cole. Tribe now leads by a score of 4-2, still hitting in the top of the 7th. Steve?
Thanks, Charlie. Doug Drabek has plenty to smile about here. Could it be? Could it be that we'd have another night of a double dip of history? Sid Bream fouling it back for strike 1. Bream's having a big night. He has singled, homered, doubled, driven in 3 runs, and scored 1.
You know, the Pirate hitters the last few innings have been helping Drabek out a little bit because they've quit scoring. They figured they got enough for him. They've been going up and down fast. This way, Drabek has gotten himself in a real good rhythm. If they'd been scoring 2 an inning the whole game, it'd have been tough on him to keep going out there.
Well, so much for losing your concentration when you have a big lead. And certainly the fact that Drabek has not given up a hit to the Phillies has helped him maintain that concentration.
Look at Leland. Said the managers shouldn't get carried away with themselves because players can get you fired anyway.
Well, he's got the right approach. All a manager can really do, along with his coaching staff, is prepare the guys and send them out there. They have to play the game. But by Leland's expression, regardless of whether he's up 11 or down 11, you'll never know the situation in the game.
Not smoking, though, this year. Quit back in the spring.
Good for him. Green hits it the other way to left field for his 3rd hit of the night. 4th hit of the night.
What a nice stroke by Sid Bream. He's hit the ball all over tonight. The home run to right center, a single to right center, his double down the first baseline. And then he strokes that one to left.
So he's at first with 2 out for Jose Lind, who has 2 doubles and 4 at bats. Lind has driven in a run and scored a run as well. Just missing low, 2-0.
You know, Joe Baber was just acquired by the Phillies from the Atlanta Braves back on the 23rd of July. Drabek probably doesn't want to hit this inning.
Well, he may have to. He's going to have to. Lind ricochets one off Baber's feet. And Green will stop at second as Charlie Hayes ran it down in foul territory. It'll be an infield base hit for Lind, his 3rd hit of the night. Runners at first and second. Drabek will be at the plate for the 5th time.
Watch Baber just try to get out of the way, and then the ball clips him on the foot. Caroms all the way over into foul territory in front of the Pirate dugout.
Now there's the skate save we were looking for.
Yeah, we've seen it all. The forearm save by Jeff King.
Well, Drabek has walked twice, popped to second, and flied to center. Anytime a pitcher gets 3 at bats, he figures he's had a good night. Drabek's up for the 5th time and grounds 1 foul.
Just trying to swing and get out of there.
First ball hitting.
The last thing he wants to do right here is hit a gapper.
He may stop at first even if he does. 17 hits for the Pirates. 17 more than the Phillies have. Strike 2.
There were times and things click into your mind, having seen Steve Carlton tonight being honored the 1980 Philly championship team. He'd get games going, and he was an outstanding hitter. But when he had that big lead and he came up later in the game, he'd have 3 hacks, get out of there, and go back out and retire the side.
Right. No serious attempt to make contact.
No.
Drabek may do that here. Let's see. Well, one could say he had made up his mind he was going to swing at whatever came up there, and he certainly did. So the inning is over. 2 hits and 2 left. We will go to the bottom of the 8th. 11-0. Doug Drabek with an outing that pitchers dream of. And here are some numbers on his performance tonight. He has not thrown very many pitches, which is to his advantage as we go to the 8th inning, because it hasn't cooled off one bit since the beginning of the game when it was close to 90 degrees. He has thrown only 85 pitches through 7 innings, and the vast majority of those, of course, have been strikes. He has only struck out 3, and the only blemish, the 1 walk back in the 5th inning to John Kruk. Here it's Rod Booker who leads off, and was inserted for Tom Herr last inning.
And Drabek starting him off with that curveball, which he's had command of all night. Another one.
This one a little bit low, 1-1.
You know, he threw a lot of pitches his last outing when he beat the Phillies last Sunday. 9 innings. He struck out 8, so that always requires more pitches, and he walked 7.
Just missed outside. 2-1.
Forget about pressure on the infield. What might be going through Drabek's mind? How about the home plate umpire? Charlie Ralliford.
Boy, you want to get those calls on close pitches in a game like this. 2-2.
At a young umpire, he probably has never been in this situation before in the major leagues.
That's a good point. Three and 2. And we welcome those of you who have been watching the Boston-Detroit game here on ESPN. Steve Zabriskie and Tommy Hutton here in Philadelphia, where Doug Drabek has allowed but 1 walk to the Philadelphia Phillies. It came in the 5th inning to John Kruk. A ground ball. Rod Booker to Jose Lind, who throws him out, and there's 1 away in the 8th inning. Well, back in 1976, John Candelaria became the first Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher to throw a no-hitter in the city of Pittsburgh. It's the only one that has ever been thrown by a Pirate at home, and that's the last time any Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher no-hit the opposition.
Drabek really on top of things, pointing over to Bream, looking out at Lind, his second baseman, letting Bream know that he's going to get over there in time if the ball's hit down that way.
And John Kruk, Jose Lind with the play in time. Oh, baby. The play of the night, without question. Even the Philly fans are standing.
Just amazing. Lind has gone up the middle a couple of times to make good plays, but watch this. His only chance is to give it full extension. Now, once he hops up to the knees, he throws, gets a little help from Bream. All Drabek can do is watch.
And man, does he like what he sees when the out is recorded.
Yeah.
2 out and nobody on for Dickie Thon, who, like everybody else, is at least 0 for 2. Here's Drabek's reaction. Boy, Jose Lind, that ball was behind him. Thon, did he go around? Yes. Strike 2. Dickey has grounded to third and flied to right. And the vast majority of outs recorded by Doug Drabek have been on the ground. Swinging at a pitch in the dirt is Dickie Thon to end the inning. 4 strikeouts, but that's not important. The drama continues. The Budweiser storyline tonight can be summed up in one word: Drabek. He got a little help from Jose Lean in the 8th inning on what looked to be the first hit for the Phillies. Lean with a diving stop to throw out John Kruk, who is the only base runner, as Kruk walked in the 5th inning, that Drabek has allowed tonight. The Pirates, meanwhile, have given him all the support and then some he has needed, with 11 runs on 17 hits. And more than Van Slyke and Bream have had big nights tonight offensively. But it is Doug Drabek who awaits the 9th inning in the dugout, as his club will bat in the top of the 9th, and it'll be the top of the order. Gary Reedus, Jay Bell, and Andy Van Slyke. And a new pitcher for Philadelphia, Roger McDowell, on the mound to pitch the 9th. Gary Reedus finally joins the hit parade with a base hit to right field. Reedus had been 0 for 4 plus a walk.
Tell you, the second greatest scene of last inning, the first greatest was Jose Lean's play. The second was when that inning ended. Drabek waited just in front of the Pirate dugout for Lean to come off the field. He gave him that good high five.
Pitching coach Ray Miller came over and talked to Doug Drabek as that inning ended as well, and Jay Bell fouls one off for strike one.
Hey, Drabek is certainly following the credo of Ray Miller. He tells all his pitchers, work fast, throw strikes, and change speeds.
And that's exactly what Doug Drabek has done. And let's not forget that last Sunday he threw a 2-hitter at these Philadelphia Phillies in Pittsburgh. So he has had outstanding outings back to back. Jay Bell with a drive to right field. Vaughn Hayes back makes the play. One away, and Reedus holds at first.
Not much pitching coach Ray Miller can do right now. Just relax, try to give that relaxed appearance to Doug Drabek.
Yeah, and when he loses it, you see he has to go back in the tunnel. So Drabek can't see him.
Stay calm.
Pitching coaches are almost as proud as the pitchers themselves when one of their charges is able to do what Doug Drabek's trying to do tonight.
Look at shaking his head. Is it really happening to me?
Andy Van Slyke with a ground ball to first, Jordan to second, and Thon back to McDowell, not in time. Reedus is retired on the force out. 2 away with Van Slyke at first. Well, we want to remind you, as always, that this copyrighted telecast, as historic as it may become, is presented by the authority of Major League Baseball, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Jeff King, the hitter, 2 for 5 tonight. King has tripled to drive in 2 runs and singled.
Steve, the other thing we're looking at tonight, 7 no-hitters have been thrown in the major leagues. Only one of those in the National League, Fernando Valenzuela's. Looking at a possibility of a record being made, the 8th no-hitter.
And Tom Candiotti of the Cleveland Indians has one going through 7. McDowell with that good sinker for strike 1, 1-1.
Phillies need to get Roger back on track.
And that's why he's in there in an 11-0 game, is to get the work. The breaking ball fouled off. McDowell in the midst of a giant bubble while delivering the pitch, which is not unusual for him. Of course, I don't think we found anything that's unusual for Roger yet.
Drabek saying that's how far Lean had to dive for that last play.
Talking to Mike LaValliere. Big night for the Pirates in more ways than one. And the crowd has remained for the most part, and you can sort of hear a little buzzing anticipating the bottom of the 9th. King with a drive to right field. Again, Hayes has to go back, but again he has room, and the inning is over. 1 hit and 1 left in the 9th for the Pirates. Doug Drabek will go back to the mound, trying to get 3 more consecutive outs. And it extends beyond the runs per inning as we go to the 9th inning with Doug Drabek having allowed just a walk to John Kruk back in the 5th. Other than that, he has been perfect. Charlie Hayes takes the ball outside. Hayes, Jordan, and Sil Campusano scheduled here in the 9th for Philadelphia. Ray Miller, the Pirates pitching coach. We welcome those of you joining us now as we're in the 9th inning with Doug Drabek of the Pittsburgh Pirates on the mound, trying to get the final 3 outs of a ball game in which he has to join 7 others this season. 1 in the National League, Fernando Valenzuela. Charlie Hayes with a ground ball to short. Jay Bell, 1 away in the 9th. Meanwhile, while Doug Drabek has 1 out in the 9th inning, Tom Candiotti, we understand, has his no-hitter going through 8 innings for Cleveland tonight.
Candiotti against the Yankees. Drabek, throughout all this, is also going for his 6th straight win. He's looking for his 14th win against only 4 losses. And as I mentioned before, by far the most consistent Pirate pitcher this year.
Ricky Jordan, the hitter. And a fastball right in there for strike 1. Drabek retired the first 14 hitters he faced, gave up the walk to Kruk, and has retired everyone since then. 1-1, and that was his 100th pitch tonight, and that is a low pitch count for being 1 out in the 9th inning.
Oh, it sure is. That's why he's been able to remain so strong. Still good sharpness on the breaking ball and good control with his fastball.
Fouled out of play by Jordan, and the count 1-2.
As demonstrated by that last pitch. And the breaking ball before, that time he ran his fastball. You could see the movement coming inside to Jordan. All Jordan could do was foul it off.
What a breaking ball. A slider for strike 3. And Drabek is 1 out away from history. He has now struck out 5.
How about what's going through Don Slock's mind, the catcher? He's been back there all night.
Catchers really don't get the due they deserve under circumstances such as these. Sil Campusano, the rookie outfielder who replaced center fielder Len Dykstra earlier in the game, takes a strike, and here he comes to bat for the first time in the game with 2 out in the 9th.
And brings just a 188 batting average with him.
Did he go? An appeal, and Charlie Williams, the first base umpire, says no.
And the 36,000 boo.
Doug Drabek has won over the majority of the Phillies fans tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out in the 9th. Very close with a breaking ball. 2-1.
One of the few close pitches tonight that hasn't been for a strike.
Everybody is behind Doug Drabek now. 1 strike away.
All you have to see is that breaking pitch to realize he's not tired at all.
Will Doug Drabek record number 8 in the big leagues this year. Out of play.
That ball about 30 rows back. Drabek wanted to catch it himself.
he was headed for the dugout, wasn't he? He was going to say, man, if nobody else is going to try for it, I will. 2 outs, nobody on, and a 2-2 count to Sil Capusano. Three and 2. Drabek might have squeezed that ball a little too hard. Base hit, right center field. On a pitch out of the strike zone, Sil Capusano, the rookie center fielder, takes the no-hitter away from Doug Drabek with 2 out in the 9th.
Early on with the score 11-0, we saw Drabek throw a 3-2 breaking pitch, and I remember commenting on it saying that if the score was closer, he wouldn't do that. He came with the fastball that time to Campusano on the 3-2 pitch. As you described, it was up, probably a ball. Campusano picked up the base hit.
So the fans begin to leave now. And Drabek, who pitched a 2-hitter his last time up, is going to try to get the last out. And Dalton skies one to right, and the game is over. But for Doug Drabek, 1 hitter too late to join those on that historical list of no-hitters. Consoled by Ray Miller and others after just a superb performance.
Well, still a career best for Doug Drabek, the 1-hitter. He pitched a couple of 2-hitters, but he will think about that pitch to Campusano, the fastball. He'll think about maybe throwing the breaking pitch, which he'd thrown so well the latter innings and had not lost any of the sharpness on the breaking ball, and it was the fastball that Campusano hit for the base hit.
So Tom Candiotti of the Cleveland Indians at last report still working on his no-hitter that he is taking into the 9th inning. Doug Drabek allowing just a walk back in the 5th, and the 2-out base hit to Campusano here in the 9th, winning the game 11-0, but losing the no-hitter with a 3-2 count and 2 out.
There's the fastball. Watch the reaction of Drabek.
Thanks for being with us. Almost history tonight for Tommy Hutton, Steve Zabriskie saying so long and sending you back to the studio and Charlie Steiner.
All right there, Steve. Well, what do Sil Capusano and Oscar Azócar have? 2 of baseball's more anonymous young players have broken up no-hitters tonight. As you just saw a moment ago, Capusano with 2 out in the bottom half of the 9th inning broke up Doug Drabek's no-hitter. Drabek ends up with the 1-hitter. He walked only 1 in winning his 14th game of the season. And 3 years ago today, Tom Candiotti had a no-hitter broken up in the bottom half of the 8th inning by the New York Yankees. And lo and behold, 3 years later, the exact same thing happened in New York. Azócar breaks up the no-hitter with 2 out in the bottom half of the 8th inning. And here is Azócar's base hit. Clean hit into right center field, and that would score a run. Game still in progress. Yankees are still hitting in the bottom half of the 8th inning. 5-4. The Yankees have now taken the lead, and they are still batting. Candiotti has since come out of the game. We will continue our coverage on Baseball Tonight. A couple of near no-nos. We'll be back in just a minute. Most of you will see the A's and the Angels from Anaheim. Scott Sanderson and Jim Abbott. Sanderson, of course, in search of his 12th win of the season. He has been on a roll of late. Now let's take a look at what's going on around Major League Baseball tonight. They are playing in the 6th inning. They got a pitcher's duel going on at Busch Stadium. 1-1, Conan De Leon, and for Darryl Boston, his 8th home run of the season. Joe McGrain did not start. Back spasms. De Leon, a last-minute start. Elsewhere in baseball tonight, actually this afternoon, a matinee. Cubs 10-4 over Montreal. Grace had a 3-hit afternoon. So did Luis Salazar. Mike Harkey wins his 10th. San Diego has beaten Cincinnati. The Reds continue to tumble. They have lost 10 of their last 12. Dibble loses in relief. Leffert saves his 15th. The Braves and the Astros are playing in the 7th inning now. Houston 2-0. Mike Scott has been trade bait for a good long time, peddling his wares some more. He's got the shutout through 7. The Braves have lost 7 of their last 8 games. In the American League, Boston is all over the Tigers tonight by a score of 14-5. Boston scored 7 in the first, and that fairly well was that in that ball game, naring a 2-run home run, 3 RBIs on the night. Blue Jays have to keep pace with the Red Sox tonight, having a hard time doing it. Jamie Moyer making life miserable on them. Wells pitching for Toronto. It's 2-1 Texas. They are playing in the 6th inning. Franco with a double. Baltimore 13-1 over Kansas City. They had a benches-clearing brawl in this game. Steve Crawford plunked a Baltimore hitter, and that incited the brief riot. Elsewhere tonight, Chicago 2-1. Playing in the 7th inning. Hibbert and Knutson are the pitchers now. Brewers having a hard time at home of late. Minnesota this afternoon in Seattle. 6-2. The Twins win, scoring 4 in the 13th inning. Brian Harper went 2 for 4. And that near no-hitter has gone by the boards. The Yankees now leading Cleveland 6-4, coming up with 4 runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Now let's go to Anaheim. We've got the A's and the Angels standing by, along with Norm Hitchcock and Gary